The person who stays in your mind again and again probably does care about you more than you think. That is the first truth. But the real reason for the distance between you may be very different from what you have been telling yourself. And yes, it can feel shocking when you finally see it clearly. This is not only about love, it is about silence, fear, memory, and the strange space that can grow between two people who feel something real but do not know how to carry it. When one person keeps appearing in your thoughts, not once in a while but almost every day, there is often a deeper reason. It is rarely random. It is rarely nothing. If there is distance now, whether it is emotional, physical, or complete silence, then the answer is usually hidden below the surface. What you see on the outside may not tell the whole story. Sometimes the person you cannot stop thinking about has not forgotten you at all. Sometimes they are holding on to you quietly. They remember your voice. They remember the way you looked at them. They remember how safe, seen, or understood they felt around you. Small details stay with them. Ordinary moments stay with them. That is why this connection still feels alive. So then the big question appears. If the feeling is real, why the silence? Why the distance? Why the hesitation? Stay with this. Because the answer is not as simple as rejection. Love does not always push people closer. Sometimes it does the opposite. Sometimes deep feeling makes a person stop, step back, and hide. Not because they do not care, but because they suddenly feel too much. When somebody truly feels something strong, it can wake up parts of them they usually keep buried. Fear comes up. Old pain comes up. Doubt comes up. They begin to see their own weak spots very clearly. They start asking hard questions. Am I enough? Can I handle this? What if I fail? What if I hurt this person? What if I lose them? Love can feel beautiful, but it can also feel dangerous to someone who is not fully ready for it. That is the part many people do not talk about. A real emotional bond does not only touch the heart, it also touches old wounds, hidden insecurities, and places that still need healing. That can be overwhelming. It can feel like too much, too fast, too deep. So the person pulls back. Not always on purpose, not always with full understanding. Sometimes distance becomes the only tool they know. Silence becomes their way of managing emotions they cannot explain. And from the outside it looks cold, it looks confusing, it looks like they stopped caring. But that may not be true at all. Sometimes silence is not the absence of feeling. Sometimes it is the evidence of feeling that has become too intense to carry openly. They may want to speak. They may want to come closer. They may even imagine telling you everything. But then fear gets louder, doubt gets stronger, and they freeze. If this is connecting with your story, keep listening because the distance may be saying something very different from what it seems. What looks like indifference may actually be a struggle happening in private where no one else can see it, and where even they do not fully understand what is taking place. For some people, deep love feels like a huge responsibility. The stronger their feelings become, the more pressure they feel inside. They do not only think about what they want, they think about what could go wrong. They worry about hurting you. They worry about disappointing you. They worry about failing to give you the kind of love they believe you deserve. And because of that, they start protecting themselves before anything even happens. Distance becomes emotional armor. It is not always fair, but it is real. They may step away while still thinking about you all the time. They may stay silent while replaying your conversations in their head. They may look calm on the outside while their inner world is full of noise. This is why every action, and even every lack of action, matters in situations like this. When they create space, it does not always mean their feelings are fading. Sometimes it means the feelings have become so powerful that they need room just to understand them. Their care keeps living in quiet places, in late-night thoughts, in small memories, in moments they never mention to anyone. They may remember your smile when they least expect it. They may hear a song and think of you right away. They may wonder how you are doing and never send the message. That is the hidden side of emotional distance. Affection can stay alive, even when communication becomes weak. The connection does not always vanish just because it becomes invisible. Sometimes it simply goes underground. And this is where many people misunderstand the situation. They think no contact means no feeling. They think silence means the story is over. But human emotion is rarely that neat, rarely that easy. Sometimes the strongest feelings are the ones that remain unspoken for the longest time. To understand this kind of bond, you need patience, you need empathy, you need the ability to see love in forms that are not obvious. Not everyone expresses care through words, constant messages, or dramatic gestures. Some people show it through hesitation, through restraint, through the pain they carry in silence. That does not make the situation easy. It makes it more complicated. And yes, it can leave you confused. You may ask yourself why someone who seems to care would remain distant. You may wonder why the connection feels real but still goes nowhere. The truth is that emotions are messy. People are layered. And what lives in the heart does not always move smoothly into action. Very often the person who fills your thoughts is emotionally closer than you realize, even if their behavior looks far away. Their feelings may still be there during the silence. Their care may still be there in the pauses. Their affection may still be alive under the surface, hidden behind fear they have not learned how to face. And here is the part that changes everything. The distance does not define your worth. It does not prove that you are not enough. It does not measure the depth of their emotions. More often, it reveals the complexity of what is happening inside them. Love is not always loud. It does not always arrive with clarity. Sometimes it grows in private thoughts, in quiet longing, and in words that never get spoken. So when you feel the gap between you, do not rush to call it rejection. Sometimes that space exists because the feeling matters too much, not too little. Sometimes the silence is not emptiness. Sometimes it is pressure. Sometimes it is fear. Sometimes it is love that has not yet learned how to come forward without shaking. One of the deepest reasons behind their distance is this. Getting closer to you would force them to feel even more, and that scares them. Vulnerability feels risky to them. They fear becoming too attached. They fear losing control. They fear the pain that could come if things fall apart later. So instead of taking that emotional risk, they keep space between you. Not because they want to hurt you, but because they are trying to protect themselves from heartbreak before it happens. To them, distance feels safer than exposure. And beneath that choice is another painful truth. They often believe you deserve someone stronger, more sure, more healed than they feel themselves to be. They compare themselves to you more than you know. They notice your emotional depth. They notice your kindness. They notice your ability to care openly and sincerely. But instead of feeling encouraged by those things, they sometimes feel intimidated by them. They start telling themselves a story that says they may not be able to meet your expectations. A story that says they may fall short. A story that says loving you properly requires more than they have right now. So they retreat. They tell themselves they need more time, more healing, more growth, more certainty. Meanwhile, you are left staring at the silence, wondering what changed. But inside them, an invisible war keeps going. Part of them wants to reach out. Another part tells them to stay quiet. Part of them imagines closeness. Another part imagines everything going wrong. They question every move before making it. They picture outcomes. They fear mistakes. They fear causing pain. And while all of this is happening, they may still carry deep emotion for you. This is why the distance hurts so much, because it is not always empty. Sometimes it is filled with love, admiration, longing, and fear, all at the same time. And that mix can hold a person still for a very long time. You may see the distance as abandonment, but they may be living it as survival. That is what makes this so difficult. While you are trying to understand the silence, they are trying to manage fear, hope, desire, and self-doubt all at once. They may worry that getting close will make them lose themselves. They may worry they cannot stay steady inside a relationship that means so much to them. They may worry they are not enough for someone they admire deeply. So even though their heart wants connection, their fear tells them to hold back. This creates a painful split inside them. They want intimacy, yet they move away from it. They want closeness, yet they delay it. Every pause carries conflict. Every silence carries weight. Behind the walls they built, their feelings can still be sincere and strong. They may keep thinking about you during simple moments in the day. They may replay your last conversation more times than you would ever guess. They may return to small memories that meant everything to them. A glance, a laugh, a quiet moment. These things become bigger in their mind over time. Even when they try to distract themselves, your presence returns. That is why the connection still feels unfinished, because in many ways it is. The feelings did not fully disappear, they became trapped, and when emotions are trapped, they often turn into distance instead of expression. So if you have been blaming yourself, stop there for a moment. This is important. Their silence is not automatic proof that you did something wrong. Their hesitation is not automatic proof that you asked for too much. In many cases, the real issue is not the lack of feeling, it is the lack of readiness, and those two things are very different. One means the heart is empty, the other means the heart is full. But the person does not yet know how to hold what they feel without running from it. There is another layer to this, and it matters just as much. Love without healing often creates distance. That is one of the hardest truths to accept, but it happens all the time. Feelings alone are not always enough when someone is still carrying pain from the past. Old wounds around trust, closeness, commitment, or vulnerability can turn a beautiful new bond into something frightening. Your presence may wake up hope in them, but it may also wake up fear. They may start connecting love with responsibility, and responsibility with possible loss. That is why they create space, not because they care too little, but because caring this much unsettles them. They do not fully trust their own ability to stay emotionally balanced. They do not fully trust themselves to protect your heart. And when a person feels that way, stepping back can seem safer than stepping in, even though it causes pain, even though it creates confusion, even though part of them wants the exact opposite. Now take a breath here, because this part may hit deeply. Your mind keeps returning to them for a reason too. Emotional bonds do not always end when communication ends. Something in you sensed that the story was not complete. There were words left unsaid, feelings left unspoken, possibilities left hanging in the air. That is why your thoughts return again and again. Your mind is not broken. Your heart is not weak. You are responding to something that felt unfinished. When there is no clear closure, the mind naturally goes back. It replays moments. It searches for meaning. It wonders what could have happened if the timing had been different, if the fear had been smaller, if the truth had been spoken aloud. That does not mean you are stuck forever. It means the experience mattered. And sometimes, that is why it keeps living inside you. You may get frustrated with yourself for thinking about them so much. You may tell yourself to move on, to stop replaying old moments, to stop looking for answers in the silence. But recurring thoughts are not always a sign of weakness. Very often they are a sign that the connection touched something deep. Your heart is still trying to understand what your soul recognized as important. That is why this is more than ordinary nostalgia. It is an unfinished emotional cycle. You are not only missing a person, you are trying to make sense of a bond that never had the chance to fully become what it could have been. And when love gets interrupted before it can unfold, it leaves an imprint. That imprint returns through memory, through hope, through reflection, through late-night questions that still have no clean answer. But here is something worth remembering. Distance does not erase meaning. Silence does not cancel what was real. Sometimes it only delays resolution. And in that waiting, you begin to learn things about yourself that no easy relationship could have taught you. Patience, emotional strength, self-awareness, the ability to sit with uncertainty without losing your heart, the ability to feel deeply without forcing fast answers, the ability to tell the difference between love and emotional unavailability. These are not small lessons. They shape your future. They change how you see connection. They reveal what kind of relationship you truly want. and what kind you no longer want to chase. So if your thoughts keep circling back, do not shame yourself. Listen closely instead. There may still be something inside this experience that is teaching you. And yes, there are moments when they think of you too. A song can do it. A place can do it. A place can do it. A smell, a date, a small reminder. Suddenly you are there again in their mind, clear and close, even after all the distance. That kind of memory does not happen without meaning. During quiet nights and unguarded moments, they may wonder how you are. They may hope you are doing well. They may think about the ways things could have been different if they had spoken more honestly or acted with more courage. They may even imagine reaching out. But then the same fear returns, the same hesitation rises, and the moment passes. That is the painful pattern. Their desire can be real, yet their fear keeps winning. They replay old conversations. They revisit certain looks, certain words, certain memories that seem small on the outside but carry great weight inside them. Sometimes the connection itself begins to change them, and that can be frightening too. Real connection has power. It can expose hidden parts of a person. It can push them toward growth they were not ready to face. You may have awakened feelings, truths, and inner wounds they had kept buried for years. That kind of emotional mirror is not easy for everyone to handle, so their distance becomes a pause, not always a rejection, a retreat, not always a goodbye. Pressure usually makes this worse, forcing answers, forcing closure, forcing quick movement. None of that creates real clarity. It often creates more resistance. Some truths only show up when there is enough space for fear to calm down. Healing has its own timing. Readiness has its own pace. That does not excuse unhealthy behavior, but it does explain some of it. And it is important for you to hear this clearly. Their emotional struggle does not mean you were too much. It does not mean you were hard to love. It means you met someone whose feelings were real, but whose emotional readiness could not yet match those feelings. That difference matters, because one speaks about your value, and the other speaks about their internal state. What you shared still mattered. The silence did not erase it. The distance did not make it fake. It simply revealed that love and readiness do not always arrive at the same time. So the story feels unfinished because in many ways it is unfinished. Not because the feelings were shallow, but because the circumstances were not ready to carry them. Love does not always disappear when it becomes invisible. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it grows below the surface where no one can see it. Sometimes it only becomes possible when both people have reached a healthier place within themselves. Until then, the connection can continue shaping both lives quietly. It can teach compassion. It can teach patience. It can teach the painful but necessary lesson that genuine care is not the same as emotional capacity. And here is where your own growth becomes just as important as theirs. Through this experience, you learn how to hold space for another person's hidden battles without abandoning your own needs. You learn that understanding someone's fear does not mean accepting endless confusion. You learn that empathy and self-respect must live together. Because yes, some of the deepest forms of care hide behind hesitation, uncertainty, and silence. But you still deserve love that meets you with steadiness. You still deserve warmth that does not leave you guessing every day. You still deserve honesty, effort, and emotional presence. The distance may be one chapter, but it is not the whole story of your worth. It is not the final measure of what you deserve. Whether this person comes back one day, or whether life leads you towards someone new, the emotional wisdom you are gaining now will stay with you. It will help you recognize better love. It will help you choose more clearly. It will help you stop confusing intensity with stability. And if this message is hitting a place you have kept hidden, take that seriously, because sometimes the heart already knows the truth long before the mind is ready to name it. Sometimes what hurts the most is not the lack of love, but the lack of emotional courage around love that was actually there. Not every meaningful bond stays in the form you first imagined. Some connections arrive to teach, to awaken, to reveal, to reshape you. They show you your depth. They show you your tenderness. They show you how much you are capable of feeling. They also show you what still needs healing in you. The distance can become part of that lesson. It can show you the danger of carrying responsibility for wounds that were never yours to fix. It can show you how easy it is to shrink your own needs while trying to understand someone else's struggle. And slowly, you begin to realize something powerful. You are allowed to care and still step back. You are allowed to understand and still protect your peace. You are allowed to love and still say, "This uncertainty cannot be my home forever." If this connection is truly meant to grow into something lasting, then one day it will need more than hidden feelings. It will need presence. It will need clarity. It will need action. It will need two people who can meet each other fully, not one person waiting while the other hides behind fear. And if that day comes, it will likely come after healing, after honesty, after inner work. It will not be because they forgot you and suddenly remembered. It will be because real affection rarely vanishes completely when it once touched the soul. But until then, do not keep carrying blame that does not belong to you. Do not keep lowering your standards just to keep hope alive. This matters. Please hear this part clearly. Someone can care about you and still be unable to stay close. Someone can miss you and still remain silent. Someone can love in their own way and still not be ready to build something healthy. That truth is painful, but it is also freeing, because it reminds you that another person's fear is not proof that you are unworthy. It is proof that love alone is not always enough without courage, healing, and emotional maturity beside it. The silence and the waiting are not wasted. Even now, they are preparing you for better love. They are sharpening your understanding. They are helping you see hidden patterns more clearly. They are teaching you to stop chasing mixed signals and start honoring consistent energy. They are showing you that real affection should not always feel like survival. Yes, love can be quiet. Yes, it can be complicated. Yes, it can move through distance for a season. But the love that truly stays and truly grows will not ask you to live forever inside confusion. It will not keep you trapped in endless guessing. It will not make you question your value every time the silence gets longer. So honor what this bond meant. Honor the memories. Honor the lesson. Honor the feeling. But also honor yourself. If they return one day with more courage, more peace, and a stronger sense of self, then the story may continue in a different and healthier way. If they do not, then this distance may be guiding you towards someone who can match your depth without pulling away from it. Someone who sees your heart and does not panic. Someone who can receive love without turning it into fear. Someone who can stay. That is the deeper message here. The connection was real. The impact was real. The silence is real too. But none of it reduces your value. None of it means you were too much. None of it means your heart was wrong for caring. It simply means you crossed paths with a bond that carried emotion, timing issues, hidden wounds, and unfinished lessons all at once. And sometimes that is exactly how life changes us. Quietly, deeply, permanently. So if this person still lives in your thoughts, do not rush to hate yourself for it. There may have been real love there, but let that truth lead you toward wisdom, not endless waiting. Let it teach you what healthy love must also include: honesty, steadiness, readiness, and the courage to come close.